Hi, in today's lesson we're going to draw a front and the back view of the menswear blazer that you can see on your screen. In addition to the menswear blazer brief, which you can find on your Blackboard and under course documents, you're also going to need a handout which looks like this, and it's giving you each step as we sketch the blazer front. So this is also under course documents under blazer handout. Finally, you're going to need the male crow key, which we are going to follow to get the proportion right. So this is also on your course documents. So let's begin. So first I'm going to go to File, New. I will click on Print. I will click on Letter Size, and then I will click on Create. So in the layer 1, I'm going to place the Jimmy. So you're going to go to File, Place. Then you have to find the JPEG, which is called Male Crow Key. You're going to click on it once. You're going to turn on the template box, and then you're going to click on Place. As usual, this will lock the bottom layer and create a new one on top. So now I'm going to double click on the template layer, and I'm just going to call it Jimmy. And then I will double click on the layer 1 so that I can rename it as Front. So with the front layer active, I can start drawing. I'm going to select No Fill. I'm going to select Red Stroke, and I'm going to select 1 point. I'm using red stroke today so it's easier for you to see where I'm putting the point. When I'm done, I'm just going to change all of my strokes to black. So now I can select my pen tool and start placing the points. So the first point, as per your handout, is going to be on top of the collar roll. So this would be the correct position. So refer to the handout in order to get the proportion right. So point number 1 will be somewhere around here. Point number 2 is going to be at the bottom of the collar, so that's going to be right here. Point number 3 will be at the shoulder line, but I'm going to go a little bit up because of the shoulder pad. So we'll click. So this is my third corner point. Next, I'm going to put a curved point. So at this level, I'm going to click and drag going down to create a curved point. And then I'm going to click once in the armpit area to create a corner point. Then I will click and drag at the waist. Don't go too close to his waist, but a little bit further away. And then you're going to click and drag going down in order to create a curved point on the waist. And then finally, for the hemline, you're just going to click once to get a corner point. So here I have my neck, my shoulder, my armhole, and the side seam. Now, to review the points, I have 1, 2, 3 corner points. Then I have a curved point in the middle of the armhole. Then I have a corner point at the armpit. I have a curved point on the waist and then a corner point at the bottom. Before you continue, evaluate your lines and make sure that they look good. I'm just going to re-angle my collar a little bit, and now I'm pretty good, so I can continue. Again, don't continue until you are certain that these lines are in a good position. If not, move the points so that you can get a better placement and better shape of the lines. So next I'm going to now take the pen tool, click on the collar, and then refer to the handout and see where do you think the break point is. So it looks like it's somewhere around here. So this is where I'm going to put a corner point. Again, you are putting this point a little bit beyond the center front to allow room for the button. And then you just simply make a straight line going all the way down. And you can see the smart guides are showing me when my line is straight and also when it's aligned with my side seam. So I can put a straight line here. So I'll press Shift and click. So now I have a straight line going all the way down. Next, I'm going to draw the collar. So again, before you continue, just make sure that these points are in the correct position. And I'm actually going to draw my first button here just so that I can see if this proportion looks good. So using the ellipse tool, I'm going to draw a circle with a white fill. So you're going to press Shift and you're going to click and drag and create the first button, and then zoom in, refer to the handout, and make sure that the first button is in the correct spot. So if this is good, then you can continue on to the collar. So for the collar, I'm just going to have 5 points. So the first point will be here, the second point will be here, the third point will be here, the fourth point will be here, and then the last point is going to be a curved point. So this is the only curved point I have. So I'm going to click and drag going down, and this will allow me to slightly curve my collar. So you can see how much I'm clicking and dragging in a diagonal manner, and then I let go, and then this is my collar. What you can do now, again, is zoom out, make sure that the collar is good shape. If it's not, then you have to move these points up and down and make sure that the collar is in a good place, and make sure that the lapel is not too big or not too small. As you can see on my sketch right now, my points here are a little bit too pointy. So what I'll do is I will select this whole drawing with the black arrow, and then I'm going to click on rounded corner, and I'm going to click on rounded cap. So this way I will avoid the pointy look. So again, you can go to Window Stroke to fix the corner so it's not too pointy. So now if you look, it doesn't look very pointy anymore, it looks fine. Next, I can just continue drawing the rest of the details that I have on my front body. So first, I'm going to use the line segment tool and click and drag going up to create the lapel seam. The other things I'm going to need is obviously the sleeve. So the sleeve will be exactly the same way as we've done on the dress block. So I'm going to put a corner point right here on the shoulder. Then I'm going to click and drag here to create a curve, and then I will just create corner, corner, and corner point to finish my sleeve. When I look at it, I think I need to make it just a little bit wider, so I'm going to widen it here, and then I will also maybe just move my sleeve cap here to allow for his arm. Again, you can turn off the visibility of the Jimmy layer so that you can see what you drew. The other thing you're going to need is the underarm seam. So this is a 2-piece tailored sleeve. So what you have to do is add one more line here. So basically I'm using a line segment tool, I'm clicking and dragging and then just making a straight line, completely straight line, so that's easy. Next thing I can do is use the pen tool and then connect these two at the bottom. If you want, you can keep this straight, but what I like to do is make this a little bit longer in the center front. So I've selected it with the white arrow, and then I will just go 1, 2, 3 to just move it down a little bit this way. Next, I can continue working on my buttons, and then I will do the pockets and the darts. So for my buttons, I'm going to first add a buttonhole. So here I'm going to use the rectangle tool, click and drag using 0.5. I'm also going to turn my button into 0.5, it's going to look better. And then I'm using the Smart Guides to make sure that the buttonhole is centered with the button. So you can see the Smart Guides are telling me they line up. And now I have to select the button with the black arrow and select Arrange Bring to Front so that the button will be on top. Now I'm going to select the button in the buttonhole with the black arrow, and then I will go to right-click Group. After they are grouped, then I can copy and paste more of them. So I'll need 2 more. So I will select the button with the black arrow, I will press Alt-Option key, and then this will allow me to duplicate 2 more buttons. So I press Alt-Option, and then I just drag with the black arrow, so this allows me to duplicate 2 more buttons. So what I can do now is just make sure that the bottom button is at the correct level. So it looks to me, if I look at my handout, it looks like this level is pretty good. I might just go a tiny bit lower. There we go. And then I'm going to respace and realign the buttons using the Align palette. So remember from before, you have to go to Window, Align, to display the Align palette. And then we're going to use the black arrow, click and drag around the buttons to create a selection marquee with a black arrow. And then I'm going to click on Horizontal Align, and then I'm going to click on Vertical Distribute button. So this will align and redistribute my buttons. Next, I'm going to draw the pocket. So for the pocket, I'm just going to use the rectangle tool, and then I'm just going to click and drag. So I can see the pocket is sort of at the level of my button. So here I can click and drag, and using 1 point line, and then again I can check the proportion, make sure this is good, and then I'm going to create one straight line in the middle. So to create the one straight line in the middle, I'm going to use the line segment tool. Smart guides are telling me where the middle is. I click and drag with the line segment tool, I press shift to make it straight, and here I have two lips welt pocket. Now I can group that together. So next I need to draw the darts. So the first thing is I'm going to draw the side panel. So the side panel will be done using the pen tool, and you're going to first click to set a corner point, then you're going to click and drag to create a curve. You can then click and drag again to create another curve at the waist, and then you just click to create your last corner point. Then from here you can use the line segment tool and create a dart like that. So you click and drag with the line segment tool and you create a dart. Finally, I need to continue this line going down, so I'm just going to use the line segment tool and then continue this line going down like that. I can soften this a little bit. It needs to look a little bit more soft. So now you can see the side panel going all the way up, and then a dart which touches the pocket. Again, look at the handout, make sure that you got this proportion right, and then if not, move it. Again, do not duplicate this to the other side unless you are happy with the proportion. So I will turn off the visibility of my Jimmy so I can just evaluate the look of my panels. So the only thing I want to do is maybe just soften this curve a little bit, and then I think I'm okay to continue. Like this. Yeah, this is better. So now I'm happy with everything, and now I can reflect this to the other side. So to do that, I'm going to turn on the visibility of my Jimmy. I will then select the black arrow and click and drag across the blazer to select everything that I drew so far. I'm going to click once on the reflect. I'm going to press down the Alt key and then click at the center front of the Jimmy. The reflect tool will come up with the options box. You're going to click on the vertical, and then you're going to click on copy. And so now you have reflected this to the other side. I'm just going to take fill out. You shouldn't have fill anywhere, so it should look like this. So now that you have reflected it, you're noticing that you have to delete some of the extra buttons that came up. So let's zoom in and see what we have to delete. So this one obviously is the extra, I delete it. This one is extra, so you're going to select it with a black arrow, and then you can hit delete to get rid of it. The other thing we need to do is add a neck at the back. So to do that, I'm going to display my Jimmy, and then I can first of all select the line segment tool and make a straight line going across with 1 point stroke. So this looks good, but I'm just going to curve it down a tiny bit. Then I'm going to make another straight line at the neck level. So picture the neck being at this level. So I'm going to make a straight line there with the line segment tool and pressing shift to make it straight. Then I will curve it slightly using the reshape tool. So you click and drag and then you curve it a bit. And then finally, one more thing is the collar stand. So for this, I can go and create a straight line here, press shift as you use the line segment tool, and then you can just click and drag with the reshape to give it a curved shape. So just be careful to make sure that the back neck lines up with the shoulder. So if I have a look at it now, I can see if I think this is good. I think this is good, but I feel like overall I may have gone a little bit too high with my collar. And this is actually good, so I can show you how you can easily fix it in case it happens to you. So what I'll do is I'll use this tool that looks like a lasso with a direct selection arrow. So if you click on that, you can actually click and drag to circle around the points you wish to select. So I'm clicking and dragging around these points because these are the points I wish to select, and they will turn black because they're selected. And now I can use the arrow key on my keyboard to make these points go down a little bit. So you see, I've just lowered my neck down a bit to get the proportion better. So now I'm more happy with the way this looks. Finally, I need to figure out which lines I have to erase. So this can be sometimes a little bit confusing. And if you look at the handout I gave you, it's going to help you figure out which lines you have to erase. So I can see that I should get rid of this line going all the way down. I also have to get rid of this line from here to here. So in order to do that, we're going to first use scissors to be able to cut the lines at the points where we have to start deleting them. So the scissors you're going to find under the eraser. So I'm going to select scissors. So if I look at this, I have to erase this line from here going down and then all the way down. So that means I'm going to cut it here, and then if I hit delete, it'll be gone. This line I have to cut here. So that means now this is a separate line. So what I need to do is just select with the white arrow this point, hit delete, and it'll erase it up until there. To erase it further, I'm going to select this point on top of this line and then hit delete, and then it'll erase it all the way down. The other thing now is zoom in here, and then I will have to erase this line up to here. So again, I'm going to cut it first with the scissors here, which will then allow me to have this little chunk as a separate line, and then I can just hit delete to get rid of it. So this is going to be a little bit complicated because you have to carefully look which lines you have to erase. So it was this line here going down that I have to erase, and it was also this line from here to here that I had to erase. So now I'm done with the front view, and I can now create the back view. So what I'll do is I will simply just select everything with the black arrow, hit Command G or right-click group, and then after I group it, I can just press Alt Option and then drag it down to create a copy. If you want, you can also create a new layer for the back. So let's create a new layer. So I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, create a new layer, and then paste it in that new layer. So that new layer, I'm going to rename as back. So now I'm going to ungroup this so that I can start deleting lines that I don't wish to keep. So since this is my back view, then obviously I don't really need to keep my buttons. So I can select buttons, pockets with a black arrow, and then hit delete to get rid of them. And then I'm going to also get rid of the collar, the seam here as well. And then I can get rid of this line as well. So far, this is what I got rid of, but there's more things I should erase. So another thing that I'm going to erase is this line here all the way up to there. So to do that, I'm going to select this point. It turns black because it's selected, and then you hit delete, and then it'll erase it up until the next non-selected point. So the same thing for this part. So if I click on this point here, it's going to erase the line segment on top and the bottom up until the next non-selected point. So if I select this point with a white arrow and I hit delete, it'll erase a perfect amount that I need to get erased. Then for the back, you can actually use this line and just stretch it out. There we go. And if you want to curve this a little bit more, you can just drag this point down with a white arrow. The other thing is you're noticing that there's a seam at the back of the sleeve, which is further up. So this is because it's a two-piece tailored sleeve. So what I'm going to do is select the black arrow, move this line up, and select this point with the white arrow and drag it all the way down. Next, I'm going to select the black arrow and delete these lines here. And then I can draw the side panel. So the side panel is designed to meet with the seam here. So I'm going to select the pen tool, and then I will put a corner point right here. And then I'm going to click and drag around here to create a bit of a curved seam. And then here to create a curvature at the waist. And then I will click at the bottom to finish my drawing. Before I continue, I'm just going to delete this line completely. So you select the point with the white arrow and then you hit delete. And then I can just go across with the line segment tool like that. And then if you want, you can curve it a tiny bit using the reshape tool, not too much, just like that. So at this point, I'm ready to reflect this to the other side. So I will select this, and then I can go to click on reflect. I will kind of guesstimate the middle here, so I will press Alt key and click, and then click on vertical copy. If it doesn't line up, it's fine because you can just move it over using the arrow key. So I moved it over using the arrow key, and now finally I need to draw a center back seam. So for the center back seam, I'm following the smart guides, which tell me this is the middle of the blazer. And then I'm going to click and drag with a shift pressed to create a completely straight line going all the way down. And then my last touch is going to be adding the vent. So the vent is going to be done using the line segment tool. You put it on 45-degree angle, and then you're going to go to window stroke to display the stroke palette, which is here. You're going to select this line with the black arrow. You're going to select 0.5-2x2 property for your top stitching of the vent. So the vent is always done using the top stitching. So here you can see that. So now I'm done. This indicates my vent. So if you look at it, you're going to then just use the black arrow, select all of the back pieces, and then go to right click, group, or command group. So that's really all there is for the menswear blazer. If you want, you can also add tiny little buttons on the sleeve if you want. And this is it for today's tutorial.